This is your Divorce is Not an Option podcast hosted by Stephen James Dixon and my wonderful co-host Tamara Glaspie. How we doing,
Happy New
Tamara?
Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New Year.
Year. What up? What up? Somebody get
Yes.
married. Wait. Somebody get married this month.
Yes, that is quite a way to start off the year. I am getting married in 3 weeks.
Wow. Where we at now on stress level? Are we
Oh my God.
more
Oh my God.
on a scale of 1
Okay.
to 10? Are we more than 50% stressed or more than 50% excited? Like, can you give those two numbers?
Wow. Okay, that's a question I never really thought about. I really am probably more on the stress side than the excited side, and I'm trying to get back to excited. And I've just decided, everybody thinks I'm crazy because it's so close to the date. For the next few days, I don't want to hear about anything wedding related. I just want to enjoy being in a relationship and just, stop. Like everything has turned into like this wedding mania, and I just can't do it no more. It's this wedding. It's a beast.
Wait. So you told all your family and friends not to talk about wedding for a couple days?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Huh?
Because at this point, it's like my wedding is in 3 weeks, and if it's not done, it's not that critical.
You just gonna take a mental break,
Yes.
and your boo good with that?
Oh my gosh, he loves it because he's sick of hearing about the wedding.
That's cool.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
really cool.
this whole process is, from what I've heard, it's one of the most stressful processes in, the whole relationship thing, um, for the two people. And it really helps you get to know your partner in some ways when you're really doing it together. Like, my man is a little more hands-on than I expected him to be.
Is that good or
And
bad? Careful. Is that good or
both,
bad? Careful.
both.
Okay. All right. Good
We'll
answer.
go with both.
Great answer.
So I'm thankful for that, and it's actually helped me to recognize some things. Like I am able to give him a lot of things that would normally do myself, but it has been an issue because I also am recognizing that I'm a bit of a control freak. So, working on all of that and trying to figure out how to navigate things and how to utilize everybody's strengths and not get too stressed out. But it's been really, 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 really crazy.
Wow. I take my hat off to you. I don't even know how to look at that. That is I can't imagine many people actually do that. I mean, it's not like you've been planning like a year. You've only been
Yeah,
planning
three
for a couple.
months. 3 months.
Man, what made you come up with this idea from the beginning?
Well, because people always talk about how stressful weddings are, how much they cost, how long they take. And I'm busy. I have a very high pressure job. I, have a lot of things I do, podcasts, things that I enjoy doing outside of my job. I'm a makeup artist on the side. So it's a lot of things that I have going on, a lot of moving parts. And I didn't want to spend a year stressing out over this. I didn't want to spend all my money on this. And the more time you have, the more money you gonna spend because you keep thinking of new stuff. Like my mother comes up every day with something new we could add to this wedding. So I just finally was like, I'm 40 years old. We know we want to get married. I don't see why we need to wait a year to make this more extravagant. I'm already pretty fancy, so it's gonna be extravagant, but it didn't have to be way more over the top than it already is.
You know what I'm thinking about is I'm remembering those conversations when your mom or your dad come in and say, you know what, you should do the platinum.
Yes.
You should do the platinum deluxe
Yes.
with the diamonds on the doves. And
Yes.
seeing
And
that,
I'm like,
it's
I'm
go
like,
ahead.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Write a check. Write a check.
Yeah,
Write a check.
but you see, and the point I'm thinking about is when you see them trying to explain something that costs money while knowing that you're about to ask them to pay for it, and they're trying to see if they can get you to pay for it, and
Yes.
just
I'm like, you already know how this is going to end. And so I'm not that person. Like I have budgeted all of this out, and my dude is like, we talk about budgets. He's like, nope, we don't need that. We don't need that. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience, and also kind of preparation for us in dealing with finances going forward in our marriage because we've had to figure out how to budget together. So
what's
It's
gonna be weird about you guys? I don't know your man as well yet, but it's gonna be interesting to figure out who's gonna be the spender and who's gonna be the saver.
oh, I already know.
Who's that?
So, well, interestingly, we both are spenders and we both are savers, but in different ways. So,
I think
I
people who say that end up in bankruptcy.
no,
That's a
no,
joke.
you
But
silly.
everybody will say we're both spenders and savers. Everyone will
I
say
don't,
that.
I don't think so. I think there's some people who are really like, I'm a spender and really like, I'm a saver. I will say he probably would say that he's not a spender,
Uh-huh.
but what it is he's all about the deal. And so, he'd be like, oh, that's $5. Let's get that. And I'd be like, we don't need that, you know? So,
Okay, so wait. You could be a spender and saver, but if and what you're saying is we gonna set a budget and stick to the budget. But if your budget is $1 million, you know what I'm saying?
nah, see,
I didn't spend more than
it's not
I
gonna be,
didn't.
no, no, no. But his thing is, if it's a deal, he wants to just get it. And my thing is, I don't spend money on most things. There are certain things that I know are my problem areas. Like I will go to the spa in a minute.
Mm.
The spa is worth it to me. I don't care how much it costs.
Let me get that. Let me get the hot rocks. Let me get
Right?
warm up the
Right?
lotion. Yes, the oil.
Yes.
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 Oh, a facial. I'll just turn over. Yeah, we can do it
Yes.
right here. Yes.
I swear by the spa. But for most other things, I'm like, okay, I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm really, really big on I don't believe in debt. I don't believe in just spending money way too frivolously. So I think our spending styles are pretty much in agreement. So it's not.
But vacations too. You go hard on vacation.
Oh my gosh, yes, that too. And he's similar in that, but or in agreement on that. But the spa thing, he's really had to work with. But I think he finally recognized that's the losing battle.
We starting to figure out which ones we gonna just lose on, and it's
Yep,
okay.
yep, exactly, exactly. But let's bring it on back. Let's bring it on back and restart this whole thing. Because we have to remind everybody to subscribe and follow our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also leave a comment on any of those podcast platforms.
You sound sick. Are you one of those people always getting sick?
Oh my gosh, like the whole winter, I'm just messed up. It's just, especially with Texas winter, because it goes from 70 degrees to 20 degrees in one day, and my body is like, we can't play this.
You just what do you mean the winter? Just all of a sudden? Or you just started getting sick
Yes,
or
anytime the
allergies?
weather changes, like it's 30 degrees today.
Hmm.
So, it was 70 degrees 2 days ago. So yeah, I get allergies and then yeah, just drop on a dime when the weather changes like that. My body just responds.
What's funny is when I turned 40, my I thought I was sick for like 3 months, and I finally went to the doctor and I said, "Hey doc, I've been sick for 3 months. What's wrong with me?" And he said, "You're not sick. You just developed allergies."
Yeah, that happened to me at around 35, and I don't know what that is, or because my dad was talking to me about it last week because I was, I had allergies, and he was like, "You didn't have allergies as a child," and I was like, "No, I don't know what it is about hitting a certain age, but yeah, I went through the same thing."
Oh yeah, we're getting older. All right. So in our last episode, we talked about the comments that were left on the voicemail. So Tamara, also give the listeners the number so they can leave their complaints and their issues, or maybe they have something positive, or they want to say some support about the podcast, or if they want to hate. If they want to hate, we can listen to the hate messages too.
Hey, hey, do we have to?
Tamara, I delete all the hate messages. I just say that. I don't even.
Okay.
I never played those for you to hate
I
messages.
can roll with that. Okay, so the number to call to leave a positive message in the Divorce is Not an Option podcast voicemail box is 469-284-3795. Again, haters not welcome. 469-284-3795.
No, I think because of FCC regulations or something like that,
Whatever, dude.
we have to allow the haters to call, but we ain't got to listen to it. I'm just gonna delete them.
Okay, I like to stay in the positive space. Anyway, so what do you have for us from your relationship coaching this week?
This week, and so I think last time we talked about forgiveness a lot. So I wanted to talk about healing a little bit too, because that's what I did with a couple this week. And they're a couple who are both really, really trying, like both husband and what was unique was the husband called me, was like, man, it's 2007. 2017, I gotta start over. I gotta turn over a new leaf. We gotta make our marriage stronger and better today.
Aw.
And he didn't want the wife to know that he talked to me. Like he really was like me and you know what I mean? Not necessarily marriage, but me husband, you know what I mean? Like I gotta get better, I don't want us to do. And I was like, bet that's what I'm
Wow, she
on,
got a good one.
She got yeah, yeah, that's my dude.
Well, oh, did
Yeah,
I miss something?
no, he's great. He's getting there. I mean, he's getting there. He's working on. He's trying to get there.
Well,
But at the same
that's all you can
time,
ask for.
right? At the same time, though, because of how things work these days, she saw him pay for a session with me. So then she was like, "I want my own session too." And so now so she set up her own session, and she same thing though. I kind of conveyed that to her, that okay, and so the message that he gave me, I gave that message to her, because her session was more like, okay, what's going on? Like, is there something going on? I'm like, I can't client privilege, and I can't just tell you what's going on, but what I can do with you is talk to you about how we're doing in 2017, in which
Okay.
she embraced that too. She was like, okay, we had a good holiday season. It was a tough 2016, but we survived. And so how do we move forward? And I was talking a lot to her about forgiveness too, and
Hmm.
talking to her about, like, she was looking at the completion of forgiveness. And that's what a lot of people struggle with. A lot of people struggle with, okay, I don't forgive you right now. And I'm like, that's okay.
Oh, yeah, forgiveness is a process.
It's a process.
Got
Just
it.
take
Yeah.
just take steps. Don't And if you get stuck on I don't forgive them, like, it's one of those things, whenever you're asking yourself a negative type of energy or a negative moment, you're
Uh-huh.
always going to be in that moment negative also.
Well,
You know,
we don't think about that. And I have some friends who I've seen different situations, and you can't forgive yourself in that situation, and you keep beating up on yourself for staying in that same place, and that's a good point. Forgiveness is a process.
it's a process, and people don't understand that. I'll talk to a client one day, and they made a mistake with their last person, and now they're worried about making that mistake again. And I'm like, you learn from that mistake. And I always try to teach people,
Mm-hmm.
don't be scared, be smart. It's the wrong S word. Don't be scared, be smart. And so as long as you are making steps to forgive, and in that process of making steps to forgive, you also have to heal. And so what I came up with them for them, I actually have notes that I actually wrote out, because we was being very, very clear and concise, and I wanted them to have steps for 2017. So
Okay,
the
so
first, go ahead.
sorry. What's the difference? What's the difference between the process of forgiveness and the process of healing?
Well, first, forgiveness is for the person who hurt you, and healing is for you.
Okay, I
First,
can see that. But what's the difference though, honestly, because can you have one without the other?
no, you can't, and that's the problem. So you have a lot of times where, say for example, if my wife was to hurt me, and then I forgive her, but if I don't heal from her forgiveness, I'm gonna have to forgive her again, and I'm gonna have to forgive her again. It's an endless process, right? But if I heal and I don't forgive her, then I'm never going to trust her again, right? So you have to do both, and I'm not.
I don't
I
think I see
don't.
the difference.
You don't see
I
the
don't.
difference? Okay,
Well,
go
I'm
ahead.
just saying I don't think that if they're so intertwined, I don't know that you can do one without the other.
That's my point. That you cannot do one without the other.
Okay.
They're both different. Like I said, forgiveness. Okay, let's break it down even more. So
Right.
forgiveness is about what the other person does. So like I talked to the wife about, number one, has he got help? And how? No, number one, I said, will he have the infidelity again? Right? Do you believe that he will cheat on you again?
Oh, see, you know what? You need to explain that in the beginning. So that's why he want to start 2017 off right. That's why he want to turn over a
Uh,
new leaf.
right.
Okay, no, and
Now
I was
you know
all
why.
on his team.
Now you know why I kind of paused. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying?
Okay, so you should have
But
started with that.
right. And so the first thing that we're working through when we try, and it was early in the year, so they've had about 9 months now that to kind of work through the issues, and I've been working with them on a almost week. We go. we go a couple weeks at a time, then we take a break, then we go a couple weeks at a
Mhm.
time and take a break because I don't
Mhm.
always want to be in somebody's ear. I want them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. I I really don't like sidebar. I really don't like to stay in a person's ear a lot because I want them to change or adapt some of the things that I teach, and I don't want them to like be me. Everything I tell you might not work for you, right?
That's a good point.
And so I don't want you to like memorize what I told you to do. I want you to
Mhm.
take, if I give you 5 points, take the three, four, or if it's five, great. But more importantly, take the ones that you can apply in your life and do that. And so I don't want you to be handicapped by talking to me all the time. So I had to cut people off sometimes. And so with them, what I said was, and forgiveness again is we had to first sit down and say, do you believe he will do it again? And I had to walk her through those kind of things. So when I say, do you believe he'll do that again? Of course, most women are like, I don't know. Well,
Right.
I don't know if he'll do it
That's
again.
on him.
And I'm saying, right, and exactly. So I have to walk you through that. Like, okay, has he received help? Meaning he's talked with me. He's also talked with another licensed person who went through like anger management and all those more clinical things that I don't handle. And he reaches out to those people without her demanding it. He called me on his own. He called the other counselor on his own. And that's about a betterment of himself. So morally, ethically, character improvement,
Right.
value, judgment, all those things he's trying to improve on his own. So he's not the same person.
Okay.
Right. And then number two, if he has a problem, is he now more prepared to handle problems? Because that's a big thing in marriage that you'll learn too as you get married is that when you have a marriage problem, it's not necessarily a problem that is the problem. It is how you handle the problem. It is what you
That's
do
a good
about the
point.
problem.
That is a good point.
Are you going to stay mad? Are you going to build resentment? Are you going to get back at him? Are you just going to
Stop
be
talking to
angry?
each other. Yep.
Right, right. Like, what are you gonna do? Because everybody has problems, right?
Yep.
Everyone has things that they need to negotiate, work through, all that kind of stuff. How do you handle the problems? And I had to say to her, do you think he's more equipped to handle the down parts, the bad days, the rainy days, the bad seasons? Is he more equipped to handle those days? Yes, that's number two. Number three, has he shown true remorse? And so then we had
But
to
they
go.
always do that. They always sorry.
Not well, that's a judgment call, right? So yeah, being sorry and being remorseful is two different things to me. Like remorseful is your evaluation of him. Him being sorry is just him saying he's sorry. Now, of course, people can lie, cheat, steal, whatever,
Yeah.
beg, bar. But in how she explained it, there were multiple times when she tried to leave and he basically begged and cried and begged her to stay. In multiple different environments, multiple places. If he wanted to be with the other person, he could have been with the other person because the other person, and then the other thing that the couple did. I have a couple couples that did this actually, so don't nobody be feeling like I'm telling no personal person, but I get this at least once a month, probably from a different couple, where the person who cheated actually calls the person that they had the infidelity
Oh
with their
Lord.
spouse on the phone.
Whatever.
And so she has all of the information she needs.
See, but I don't even. Okay, I might be messing somebody up right now, but I don't even that would not work for me because it's some shady stuff going on out there, and it's some shady hoes who will be like, "Oh yeah, I'll never speak to you again," or they'll listen to the dude, saying whatever he needs to say in front of his wife, and be right back up with him the next day.
I'm glad you said that because what I have to say to Tamara about that is forgiveness is a part of marriage. And if you cannot forgive, then you cannot be married.
Mm,
And so that is your responsibility. And additionally, you're marrying your fiance because you have decided. Let me tell you why you're going to marry him. You ready?
okay. Yes. Let me know.
A little bit late, 3 weeks to go. You know what I'm saying? But let me tell you why you marry him.
Okay, go
You're
ahead.
you're marrying him because you decided that you love him enough to forgive him for his flaws.
Yes.
All the men in the past, you didn't love them enough.
Yes.
So if they made a mistake, it will build
I'm
resentment in
out.
you. I'm out, deuces, whatever. I don't need this. I don't need it, right?
Right.
But with your fiance now, you say, you know what? I love him enough, and I believe in him enough Then when
Right.
he makes a mistake, he's gonna try to correct that mistake, and more than likely, I won't have to forgive him for the same thing twice.
Exactly. But
Right?
that's the point right there. Like, I love him enough to know that he's going, or excuse me, let me even rephrase that. He is the kind of man who would make sure that he doesn't make the same mistake twice, or make sure that he's trying to be on the straight and narrow. So I trust him completely. Now, um breaking that trust multiple times would be a problem.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is I don't believe that once a cheater, always a cheater. Right. And so that's why we go through a process of what did you want? What did you need? What were you missing? How can you communicate more effectively what you need out of the marriage? And just really pulling out, and you'd be surprised how much it's probably more difficult to pull those types of things out of men than it is out of women.
Well, yeah, I totally get that, but I'm just saying, like, it's one thing to be like, oops, I messed up. It's another thing to be like, this is a multiple, occurrence.
Right. And so what I did with them is I gave them like 5 steps that I wanted them to do
Okay.
separately. I don't know if they're going to end up talking about it together or not. I left that up to them. But I wanted them to journal every day. Like I wanted them to just really start getting some of that negative energy out and learning how to chase a negative with a positive.
Uh-huh.
Like so you wake up and recovering in marriage and recovering from infidelity and things like that. That's a job, man. That's serious. That is real work. And so you wake up and you the wife and you look at him and you know how wives look at dudes. But this motherfucker cheated on me. You know what I'm saying? You know how
Yes.
you look at him like I can't believe this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yes.
just and so, but you got to remind yourself and you got to journal because you got to write down he's not the same man, right? You got to write it down. He's not the same man. You got to keep telling yourself that. If you got to schedule text messages, schedule calendar reminders, put post-it notes on the bathroom. He's not, you believe he's not the same man. If you believe he's not the same man, if you believe he has the skills and the tool set to handle issues better in the future, if you believe he's truly remorseful on on the chances that he take and the risk that he's, taking on you losing his family, then it's your process now to start the healing process.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what kind of man you thought you had. I think for somebody who is in a relationship or married to somebody and you kind of know some things are not right, which I think happens a lot of times, then it's one thing to try to work it out after you have figured out something definitely is wrong. I think it's a whole nother thing when you implicitly and completely and totally and with everything in you trust this person and then they cheat and you like are completely blindsided.
I can't give you that because most people are going to think that anyway. I mean, the majority of people don't get married thinking that the person they're marrying is going to cheat on.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying in the course of the situation, there are some people it's just like, dog, you knew he was cheating on you.
Right. There are definitely, let's say 10% are already cheating and they know he's cheating, right? They just ain't, they just don't have any evidence of the cheating. So
You
yeah, maybe
know?
let's say 10% of those, right? And then I've said before that you may get up over 50% of men who cheat at some point during the marriage,
Right.
right? I've said that before, right? But initially, when you get married, you're not thinking that
Well,
about your
yeah, no, but
spouse.
I'm just saying once you've been married for a while and things happen and you have navigated this whole relationship and gotten to where you are, then yeah, sometimes it's like, okay, I knew something wasn't right, that's one thing, but when you really truly like trust this person and really truly have no questions whatsoever about what's going on and then you're blindsided by somebody outside the marriage, I think that's a whole nother thing trying to heal from that.
And okay, so then the points I gave him, so journaling every day was again about them because I always try to give something about you. And really, like I've said a bunch of times, I'll always say that my relationship coaching style, and I'm not like some certified clinical, and I'm not against that. That's great for those people who did it, and we need those people to help out on things I can't help out on with like anger management and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. But for me, I don't do clinical stuff. I do coaching. My coaching is to make the husband a better husband and to make the wife a better wife. That is what I do, right? And
Got it.
so journaling every day was about the husband talking to himself and bringing it out of himself, like getting the whatever negative emotions out of himself, building him up, like I'm talking to him about, you've got to initiate things. You know what I'm saying? Like, the conversation is not going well today. You got to initiate that. You got to spark that conversation. You can't just clam up and close up and go hide in the closet somewhere, or just not talk because she not talking because you created this issue.
I think that's an important point to note, that the converse is true of that. Like, you should journal the good things as well, because when you
Right.
end up in this situation, and you've said this before, but you end up in this situation and you ready to be out, and then you can go through the journal and remember, okay, my partner did X, Y, or Z for me. They were always had my back. They always did blah, blah, blah in the past. I need to remember these things before I let this one thing ruin my marriage.
Yes. And what happens is, when you're going through a process of trying to figure out if you want to trust someone again, and then you call them and they don't answer the phone for 2 hours, you
Yep.
automatically assume they're doing the same thing.
Yep.
And in those moments, you have to be able to go back to your journal to say, he's not the same person. He
Right.
won't hurt me like that again. I have to keep making steps to heal. And so that journaling was the first part of it. Point number two was, I needed them to increase communication through writing each other's letters. And what that was about was, a lot of times we don't know how to communicate. Like, I felt like they were very introspective when I talked to them one on one, right? But they weren't communicating at that level with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, write a letter. And I don't want no long page. I ain't say no 3, 4, 5 pages. This ain't high school. You know
But
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it's hard when it comes to really talking to somebody and really bearing your soul, and not being emotional about it. I know that's something you always get on me about, because I am a very emotional person. Even when I know the right thing and I know I'm doing the wrong thing, I'm still emotionally tied to that wrong thing. And so,
Which is That's exactly the point why I said, write down and write a letter
right.
of communication to your partner, right? And then you can get out your full thought and you can take your time because they're not
Yep.
expecting it. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And one of the issues that we had was, since both parties have been hurt, and even though the man cheated, he felt like he was emasculated. You know what I'm saying? He went through,
Hmm.
months of not having sex and things of that nature too. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that
Oh,
she
wow.
was some perfect angel. You know what I mean? They had trouble in the marriage. Actually, I was involved before the cheating actually took place. It was just almost emotion already before I got involved, and the guy wasn't initially upfront about that, well, about it going on in the back end. But the writing of letters was, and I don't mean, like I said, don't write 3, 4, 5 pages. Because I've been involved in couples who like talk for 15 minutes straight, and then the other person talk for 15 minutes straight, and they felt like that was communication, and I was like, no, that's not. Like, you just made a speech, and
Yes.
she made a speech, and y'all really don't care about what each other said.
Yep.
Like, it needs to be a conversation. So to me, if you can get it on one page, I ain't talking about, 5-point font. You know what I'm saying? Regular
No
12-point
spaces.
font. We ain't trying to make this is not a speech. It's not a literary journal or nothing like that. This is not your journal. Your journal's for you. Your letter is for them to be able to express yourself in a way that you really don't do comfortably verbally. And then I expect over time that you become better again. And this is about rebuilding it. That's why this is like getting your sea legs and
Yep.
learning to crawl
Yep.
before you walk, with trusting someone with your emotions again.
I think that's another point that a lot of us forget, that this is a practice basically. And so, we evolve into being better people, better couples, better, over time. And so the first time it's going to be hard or uncomfortable or whatever. And you just kind of keep at it until you get it right, which I don't know if you ever actually arrive, but it's a process.
And I'm glad you said that, because point number 3 was increase affection. And
Mm.
and I made the point of forcing it if necessary.
Yep.
And yes, let me say it: force increased affection if necessary. And because you love each other, like, sometimes we have this thing where we love each other but we don't like each other,
Yep.
right? But affection, like, runs away with that, like, not liking each other thing. Affection, like, you just, hopefully you melt and it comes back to you over time. So that means, like, when you're sitting on the couch, sit close to each other, not on top of each other, close to each other. You got your hand on his thigh, or you got his arm around you for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, not 2 hours. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's more about kinetic energy, like touching.
And it becomes like a learned behavior and it becomes natural. I share my experiences. My family, growing up, were not the most physically affectionate. I don't know, we just, very loving family. We just aren't physically affectionate. And when I got to college, I actually was like training my people to hug and kiss. And now we're a very affectionate family, but it felt forced.
But it learned, and then a lot of times too, people don't know that it's okay, and it's like because I had a man tell me last month. He said I'm not affectionate, and he just said it like that was it.
Yeah, I mean, my daddy is not. He was not. And like I remember I used to hug on him and kiss on him and he'd be like, "What do you want?" And now like when I walk in, he kisses me immediately. That did
Right.
not used to happen.
And that was my point, is that affection can be taught and it can be given out in small samples. Like I said, it don't, when you sit on the couch with your dude or you laying in the bed with your dude or with your girl, it don't have to be 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It could be 10, 15 minutes. One of the things I tell couples to do too is when you rebuild it, when you get in the bed, make sure you're touching each other in a non-sexual way.
Yep,
Right? So like your hand on her elbow, your knee on her thigh, your ankle on her ankle, just kinetic in it, just touching.
that's
And
major.
that goes a long way.
Yep. What's
Point number
next?
4. Yo, you go ahead. You add to
Nothing.
that.
What's next? Go ahead.
Point number 4 was challenge yourself to be better in 2017. And that's just in general. Like challenge yourself to be more organized, to be more appreciative, to be more observant, to be better in your communication. All those things. Just be a better. Like all of us should be getting better and better and better. Like I've got to be. I'm the best husband in the world, basically, right? And so that's my
I'm
challenge to
gonna
all
ask
my
her
men out
about
there. You go and ask the wife. I tell her post something to the Facebook right now.
that.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like that's my challenge in life, is to be the best husband in the world. Like I joke about, if Michelle Obama and my wife was at lunch and Michelle Obama said that she got the best husband in the world, I want my wife to smack her in the mouth.
That's only because I'm not married yet.
Well, it'll be a competition. I welcome your dude's competition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the best husband, and so everyone should have that as what they're trying to do. I should be trying to be the best husband. Your fiance should be trying to be the best husband. You should be trying to be the best wife. My
Yep.
wife should be trying to be the best. Like all of us, and
Yep.
so challenging yourself to be your best. And what I'm saying, and really, the challenge is about it being separate from the marriage. Like this
Yep.
is not about be the best husband if she's the best wife. It's not that. It's just be the
Amen
best
to that.
husband.
I used to watch David and Tamala Mann. I really think they are the cutest couple. And they, on several occasions, have talked about how they have a competition, who can be the best spouse between the two of them. So they are constantly trying to one up each other. And I think
Right.
that is the greatest thing. It's so cute to me.
Right. And an example of like I give a quick example of that is like for Father's Day, I remember my wife, her father wasn't feeling well. And so I was like, "Hey, we can visit your father for Father's Day." And she was like, "Well, yes, I would love to do that, but Father's Day is not all about my father, it's also about you."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
again, that's how we one up each other. That's how I'm making sure I'm looking out for what she needs and what's going to be bothering her. She's looking out for what I need. Like we always watching each other's back. I don't
That's
watch
how
my
it's supposed
own back. Right. I watch her back. She watch my back. Last point I gave them was to really just, I felt like they were, and this is kind of confusing. Well, maybe not confusing. Maybe you tell me if it's confusing. I said that I would hear the kids kind of in the background and how they approach the kids. And so the fifth point
What
was
do you mean by that?
like like the kids like the kid interrupt you when I'm on, like we're in session, kid interrupt. And he
Hmm.
like, "Hey honey, I'm on the phone right now. Daddy's gonna be with you in a minute." You know, and it was just a whole approach. Like it stopped, like life stopped, and you
Uh-huh.
gave full attention. You took a
Uh-huh.
moment and you recognized and you gave eye contact and you made that person feel important. And I was like, I've heard both of you do that in your marriage. Where I've been on a session with the wife, and in the evening or something, kid, she trying to cook in the kitchen or whatever. I've been on with the husband, he in the office, kids running in, things like that. And I just saw how both of them were very sweet, very kind, very just slowed down when the kids interrupted them. And I was like, I need some of that for the spouse.
Right. That goes back to your priority list.
Absolutely. Okay, man, we done talked a whole lot already
Yeah, we
just on
really
that.
did. So we had an article that we were supposed to be talking about today, and I think we should just run through it and
Let's
just
do it.
let's get it. Okay. So we're talking about this week's article, Relationship Rescue: How to Negotiate the Small Stuff, posted to the Huffington Post on October 13th, 2012. It didn't give an author, but the article says when couples spend more time together, little annoyances become magnified. That's real. These 6 tips can get you back on track. Tip tip number 1: talk your issues out. And I think that's really kind of like duh, but people don't communicate, and you realize when you get in a relationship, like it's communication is hard. Just like what you were saying earlier, like writing a letter is easier sometimes than talking.
Yes.
So I think the point in general is just to communicate, and we need to work on whatever form of communication, however that needs to be. I've started, like, when I get frustrated or upset or whatever, I send an email. And if it's too difficult for me to say whatever I need to say, and I try to frame that email as a prayer.
Mm.
So I pray for what I need in our relationship or what I need in whatever situation has happened. And one, it helps me to put it in a positive light, to not be just finger pointing. And two, it helps him to see where my heart is and to be more understanding because I'm not coming at him crazy.
I'm glad you brought back up writing the email because we really should be clear. If you got just all ugly stuff to say, don't write no letter. That's not what
Yes.
this is about. The
Yes.
letter is about trying to be constructive and
Right.
positive, and like you just said, prayer. Like I wasn't even thinking about it like that. Like the letter is about being humble. You know what
Well,
I'm
I
saying? And
started that because my mom gave us both a book, 31 Prayers for My Future Husband, and he got 31 Prayers for My Future Wife. And so, in reading this book, it really kind of struck me on how to frame, what it is I need to say. And so, I started sending prayers to him, that I was praying for him. And then I just started saying, okay, when I need something or when something's going on, I'm just going to continue to frame it that way.
cool. Point number 2: choose the right time and situation.
Now, this is what I've been accused of being just totally left on, because when I feel what I feel, no matter where we are or when it is, I got to get it off my chest. So that's something I need to work on.
You'll learn. I had to learn that I'm high strung and I'm ready to go at any time, and my
Right.
wife not ready to go at any time. And that's not saying that it's good or bad. Like it's balanced. So just because I'm ready to, what I learned is that I'm ready to go anytime, right? But sometimes I need to go sit my butt down and relax for a minute.
Yep. Same
You know.
here.
And so when I'm ready to go, I'm gonna go hard and I'm gonna be aggressive, and I got 10 points. If I sit my butt down and go relax for a day or two, I got my 10 points, and I can crush those down into the real 3 root causes of everything, and we can discuss those 3 points instead of 10.
But you know what? I think also having the ability to prioritize whatever it is that you're dealing with. Because one thing I think you say a lot to me is sometimes things need to be addressed right then and there. So just having the ability to recognize, okay, this is, DEFCON 5. We need to, like, get this right here, right now. And thinking, okay, this is not that serious. Chill out.
hmm Point number 3: address 1 or 2 specific behaviors at a time.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one because I have a tendency to save that stuff up, and I'm gonna go off on you about 10 things at one time.
That what you just said. That's why you're learning to do it all at once. Or
Yep,
do it at the time. But also when you do them one at a time, you build less resentment, you build less anger, you're
oh,
less frustrated, and so but if you let them build, then that's when you explode because you holding on to it.
yep. Number
But like
four. Oh, sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go. Go ahead,
I was
honey.
about to say number four is a good one too when it says use I statements, because I know, you have a tendency to want to say, this is what you do wrong. This is how you not handling it right. This is where you're the problem. And instead saying, hey, when this happens, it makes me feel this way. I'm struggling with X, Y, or Z. I need your help in X, Y, or Z. So it's not about what they're not doing. It's about what you need.
A good conversationalist will be a person that evaluates themselves first.
Right.
I'm just gonna leave
That's
it at that. Very
major.
clear. You gotta evaluate yourself first, and then you come into the conversation with that evaluation and looking like you gotta be hustling, looking everywhere under rocks, under everything. Like, how can I be better? Am I missing something? Am I misunderstanding something? What can I do differently? Things like that. You gotta look at yourself first when you're in a marriage.
I think one of the biggest things that I'm learning, people say that marriage is a mirror
Hmm.
and you really have to look at yourself and your flaws. So in that using I statement, sometimes on the surface it may look like you're wrong or you're right, but when you really analyze, a lot of times it's just recognizing, okay, this is something in me that I need to fix before I go attack my partner on it.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so number five, it says make it a give and take.
Yes, and really something I was going to talk about, I think we can't get to, is that really there shouldn't be any sacrifice in marriage. Like, to me, marriage is
Wait,
about
wait, 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 wait.
compromise.
What?
Let me say it. So I don't even know if we had time to explain it really. Like, there shouldn't be one person sacrificing. Like, it shouldn't be one person continually to sacrifice. I only sacrifice on Thursday because my wife sacrificed on Wednesday, or she will sacrifice on Friday.
Okay.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
so you're not saying there's no sacrifice. You're saying it's about even compromise.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. There's no sacrifice, is that there's compromise. And compromise means that both of us sacrifice.
So I was reading this story about how situations kind of snowball because you're trying to like lay your life on the cross for somebody. And in one of this, some article I was reading, it called "Don't Go to Abilene" was what the theme was. But basically, it's so one person in the group says, "Hey, let's go to Abilene." And the second person in the group says, okay, cool, as long as the third person is okay with it. And the third person's, yeah, okay, whatever. So they all go to Abilene and they have this horrible meal and they come back and the third person's like, well, hell, I should have just stayed at home. I would have been cool at home. And the second person's like, well, I only went because you wanted to go. And the third person was like, well, I only said I wanted to go because first person wanted to go. And the first person was like, I only said it because I thought y'all were bored. So three people did something that none of them wanted to do because they're all trying to sacrifice instead of communicate.
And instead of compromising and really talking through it.
Exactly,
It's a good
exactly.
example. It's a good example. Point number 6, keep things light.
Humor is everything. Everything. I'm so thankful for being with somebody who is just crazy because we laugh at everything.
And we'll leave it there for this week for the Divorce Not an Option podcast. Stephen James Dixon.
Tamara Glaspie.
We don't know
All
how to
right,
do
give
that.
me a minute. Give me a minute. Chill out.
I mean, I don't. I just throw it to you. It's just alley oop, and you wasn't looking. It's a no look pass. I don't know how to do no look
I
pass
got.
on the audio.
See, if you hadn't have said nothing, I would have got it.
Everybody, we need y'all still to go out there and listen and subscribe and follow. That is how we get paid. That's how the podcast
Amen.
makes money,
Amen.
generates revenue. So make sure you go to iTunes and Google Play and YouTube and Spreaker and Stitcher and SoundCloud and subscribe and follow the podcast. Definitely, leave comments on the podcast, share with your friends and family. We need to get that number again too. You got that number?
Yes, I do. It is 469-284-3795. Give us a call.
Divorce Not an Option. Talk to you next week.
Peace out.